A few examples are shown above here for the 3D. That's the 3D point. Looking at this point, it's a 3D point and it's on a smooth surface, so it's frictionless. So I can move it in this direction. I can move it in this direction. I can rotate it. I can even rotate it in this direction. But the only thing I cannot do is to move it downwards because it's a floor. So there's only one reaction force. Here I've got, I'm looking at this one now. It's a journal bearing. So it can rotate, the shaft can rotate, and the shaft can move in out. Okay. So it's a 3D, so 3 reaction forces. So can I move the journal bearing in this direction? No, I cannot. So I've got my reaction force. Can I lift the journal bearing up, down? No, I cannot. So I've got another reaction force there. Can I rotate it like this from the top? No. Therefore, I've got a reaction moment here. Can I? Sorry. Can I rotate it in this direction along the axis here? I cannot, so therefore I've got reaction mode. I can only rotate in one direction and can move it in one direction, therefore I do not have reaction forces here. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm looking at this one here, this one. It's a ball socket joint. Yeah, ball socket joint, you all know that it can rotate in all directions, so there's no reaction moment, but the ball socket joint cannot move in X, Y, Z direction. Therefore, I've got my 3 reaction forces. If I look at the hinge has got only 1 degree of freedom, that is to rotate in this direction. Sorry. It can rotate in this direction only. That's it. It cannot rotate in the other 2 directions, and this hinge cannot move in left, in left, right, up, down. It cannot move in any direction. Therefore, you got 5 reaction moments. The only one reaction moment missing is the rotation, because it can rotate. So, you got 1 degree of freedom. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, says here, as a general rule, if a support prevents translation of a body in a given direction, then a reaction force acting on the opposite direction is developed on the body. Similarly, if the rotation is prevented, a couple moment is exerted on the body by the support. So in simple words, in 3D, you've got 6 degree of freedom, 3 linear, 3 rotation. If the support cannot move in any particular axis, then you will have a linear reaction force. If the support cannot rotate along any axis, then you will have a reactive mode. Okay, I've mentioned it many times. Okay, now let's look at some few of the 3Ds, same as the 2D. You got a link with the cable, so yes, there's only one reaction force, that's the cable, and the force is in the direction of the cable. That's a smooth surface that we have just covered. We've got similar application here, the roller. You can lift the roller, you can move it in X, Y direction. The only thing you cannot do is move it downwards because there's a force. So therefore you got a reactive force, and it can rotate in any direction you want. So for this one, there's only one reactive force that's coming from the ground. That's a ball socket joint. We just covered it, and we've also covered this one that we've done. And move on to the next one. Okay, this is a single journal bearing with square shaft. So it means that it can only move in out. That's it. So because it can only move in out, you will have 5 reactive force and moments. So you've got 2 reactive force, that's this one and this one, because it can move in this direction, so we are not having that component. And it cannot rotate in any of the axes, so I've got all 3 reactive moments given. This is a thrust shaft, a thrust bearing. Thrust bearing is, what's a thrust bearing? Interesting. Okay. Do you know crankshaft in an engine?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So crankshaft rotates. So why the crankshaft doesn't come out? Because you got a bearing here, which means that it will allow movement in one direction, but it will not allow movement in the other direction. So that's a thrust bearing. Or in simple words, if I've got a shaft with a flange here, that's a flange and shaft, and there's another flange here. I've connected to the electric motor. This is the motor, and the shaft is rotating. And I've got a bearing here. That's the bearing. That's the bearing here. So, no, not a good example. Only I have to make a bigger picture. Just a second. Let me change the color of the pen. Okay. I've got a shaft, flange, connected to a motor. And the shaft rotates. And let's say the shaft is free to move. Now I've got a bearing support. Watch, the bearing support is very close to the flange. And this bearing support is fixed on the ground. So it means that you can clearly see the shaft cannot move in this direction because it hits the bearing. Okay? But the shaft can move in this direction. So therefore, it's a thrust bearing not allowing the shaft to move in one direction. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so it moves in one direction. You're allowed, so it takes all the thrust on the other side. So therefore, that's the thrust. So basically, it moves in one direction. So you've got your force already given in one direction. We know that, but it will not allow to move in the other direction. And you got your you got your other reactive force and the moments because it's the general bearing. So it is rotating also. So in thrust bearing, you do know the direction of the reaction force basically. Whereas in the other scenarios, you won't know if it's in this direction or this direction, like in this example here. It's a pin connected, so it can rotate only in one axis. So but it cannot move in XYZ direction, and it cannot rotate in the other direction. So you got 1 degree of freedom. So therefore, you got 5 reactive forces here. 3 reactive force and 2 reactive moment. That's a hinge we've already covered, only 1 reactive force. And this is a shaft which is welded to the ground or bolted or fixed to the ground. So it has got no degree of freedom. So you have all 3 linear and all 3 rotational reactive moments. Now,